I think focus fits in quite well actually because, North America, specifically Canada, does have a lot of the critical minerals. Specifically, we have graphite. What's unique about us is that unlike a lot of the other graphite deposits that have equal grade to the Chinese graphite deposits, we have a very unique grade, which is at 15 plus percent on our flagship Black Knife project. And basically, that allows us to compete with the Chinese. The reality is, we can't compete with the Chinese on labor. We can't compete with the Chinese on cost of capital. We can't compete with the Chinese on technology. So the only way that a company can actually compete and replace Chinese supply chains is through having grade. And we just happen to have extremely high grade at 15%, which is 3 to 4 times a lot of the other grades out there. So we're pretty well the only graphite company coming into production that will be able to do so. And big companies and OEMs are interested in pricing. And I think sometimes that gets lost. So we are able to supply graphite and advanced materials to the European market. And the European market is quite aggressive in looking at changing the chain of custody and really being quite strict about forcing legislation to remove themselves from any adversarial supply chains. So we fit in quite well with that and look forward to the timing and being able to supply that. For us, really hasn't really changed our strategy. I mean, we have a unique deposit. So the same reason we have this super high grade deposit, like one of the highest grades in the world, definitely in North America, is because we we kind of have a deposit that is unique in the sense that it's important people understand that not all graphite is equal. It's not copper, it's not nickel or gold, where it's the same once you purify it and refine it. In graphite, there's characteristics are different. Our deposit, we happen to have a lot of large and jumbo flake, and that becomes very important for military and defense applications, as well as some dual use applications for semiconductors, etc. So for us, the uniqueness of the flake allows us and always has to do a lot of the military and defense applications, which may have lower volumes, but very, very important for the military and defense. And I think that's part of what is driving a lot of the governments to give out the grants and really become sovereign as far as their supply chains, because you can't depend on a foreign country to be giving you military advanced materials. So yeah, it's very important for us, and our project and deposit and characteristics of the flake itself lend itself to that. So I think the government recognizes that, the uniqueness of our flake. So it's important to understand that our flake, and it's part of why the high grade deposit exists, is that the first part of the metallurgy and processing was done in the ground. And so what that means is a lot of the impurities for us are sitting on the outside of the flake. So if you understand, you think of a potato and you have impurities within the potato, you've got to chop the potato up and take out any of the impurities, but now you don't have a perfect flake. You can't make perfect potato chips. For us, the impurities are on the outside of the flake. So if you think about a potato again with skin, we're able to put that in the thermal fluidized bed and burn it off. So now we have the integrity of the actual flake itself. We haven't degraded it. The crystallinity is kept intact. And there's a lot of other benefits, again, for military defense and other applications. So the government gave us, over $14 million in order to build this continuous thermal fluidized bed, which allows us to use a heat and burn off these impurities rather than use chemicals. And so that's kind of very important for us that we did receive that grant. And we've received grants and support from the government on the ground as well for shovel ready, the first and last mile fund and other grants. So we do expect to see other grants coming in. We've had excellent support from the federal government. We're now seeing support from the Quebec and government Plan Nord. So really, there's a really concerted effort, I think, by all the government bodies for certain projects to get off the ground. And graphite being very critical in the sense of having, over 5% of the graphite is coming from China and other sources. It's definitely a priority, and the support is there. And we are very aggressive on getting non-dilutive grants. And I think for shareholders, it's massive, because you think about $16 million by our share price, how many shares we'd have to issue. So we're very fortunate for it. And yeah, we're going to continue down that path.